Himself a seminarian, Claude François felt that God was calling him to go and live with the poor seminarians he had begun to help, allowing them to be able to study. Thus, they became the first Spiritan community. Today, in our missions in Africa and elsewhere, the Spiritans continue to live out that vision. Apart from formal education carried out in our schools, Spiritans see education as vital in all ministries. Basic education is the first step out of poverty and toward the gospel. Today in the Galveston-Houston Archdiocese, the Spiritans are continuing the dedication of their founder. One of the biggest challenges facing them is the growing divide of the ethnic cultures in Houston.
You have such a mix of ethnic groups, races, religions. You get the microcosm of the world here. And as we find ourselves in that, we know that there are many challenges. You know, how do you hold on to your Catholic identity without becoming defensive, but seeing us as Catholics carrying a blessing for others? How do you appreciate what is going on in other religions? How do you continue in that dialogue for meaning? Because culture basically is a conversation about meaning. It's ongoing. People are constantly being engaged in different ways. And if we as a church don't understand that dialogic nature, we really haven't understood the mission of the church, particularly as it's spelled out in the Second Vatican Council and is totally embodied now in Pope Francis.
St. Mary Seminary dates its origins from the charter establishing the University of St. Mary in the city of Galveston in 1856. The seminary was relocated at its present site in Houston in 1954. It serves as a location for diocesan meetings, workshops, and seminars that provide continuing theological education. Father Michael Gray, a Spiritan, is the Vice Rector and Director of Human Formation.
We have a faculty of about 12 priests who are in formation. We also have the academic faculty, but the formation faculty has the responsibility for promoting the academic, the pastoral development, the spiritual development, and the human, personal development. And the goal is that the men who come out of here are going to be pastoral, they're going to have the brains and the spiritual ability and the pastoral witness and the human ability not to be a bump in the road or a block to people's growth in faith, but they are really going to enable the people of their parish to come alive as Christian communities.
Those vocations continue. Some Spiritans are assigned to the Archdiocese. One of those has been serving in the Houston area since 1994. Currently teaching at the University of St. Thomas Graduate School of Theology and the director of the Center of Faith and Culture is Father Donald Nesty.
If you really have a sense that this is what you are called to do, and I think that's the beauty about a vocation develops over years. You grow into a vocation. I would never have thought that I was going to be in Texas after my ordination. First of all, I don't ride a horse. I don't have a 10-gallon hat. I don't have any boots. And I certainly didn't have a double-barrel shotgun. But nonetheless, I came, and this has opened up. The doors have opened up, and it's been one joyful ride.
In the Galveston-Houston Archdiocese, the Spiritan influence is felt in the community's youth. Father Joseph Lan Nguyen serves as the director and chaplain of Catholic Campus Ministry at the University of Houston's Central Campus. As a welcoming faith community, the center offers service and leadership, education and experience, spiritual guidance, and recreational and social opportunities, forming people for their active roles as laypersons, religious, and priests in the church and in the world.
Last year we went down to the Diocese of Brownsville, which is the poorest diocese in Texas, where you have the student experience of serving in mission and experience the poor. And so we did some project like building, cleaning houses for people, and then also learning how the poor are affected there and what kind of services are not being given to people, and then the student learned from that. And then we did a pilgrimage there as well. There's a basilica of Our Lady of San Juan de Valles, and they use that as a pilgrimage as well, to go pray, and also just not your traditional spring break, but just giving their time to serve the poor and then be together and, spend some time in prayer as well.
The Spiritans worldwide total over 3,000. They may be found involved in many different ministries, giving a very diverse face to the congregation.
We all come from a different background. Michael's from the Irish province, I'm originally from Vietnam, I'm the U.S. province. But even in that diversity, we find just some connectedness there.
In 1994, Spiritan Father Donald Nesty founded the Center for Faith and Culture at St. Thomas University in Houston.
I went to several universities and asked them if they would like to start something like this. I was willing to do that. But the University of St. Thomas is the one that opened its doors, and that's precisely why I came here. And I think it really was providential because the support for the center has been phenomenal.
At the University of Houston, the international makeup of the students provides a challenge and a blessing.
On our campus here, it is very multicultural. In fact, very international in the sense of, because the city itself, it's very diverse. So the challenge of having different people, but at the same time, we're a city that celebrates that. Right here at the university, we're sort of like the safe haven, if you will, home away from home, on a public university like this, that this is a Catholic center, that they can kind of practice their faith, be in fellowship with the other classmates of there who are practicing the same faith, and be comfortable. That's the first thing. And then we have a number of programs here to help them be formed leaders so they can serve the community later.
This is my first year at college, and so I want to say it's definitely had the most exposure to all these different ideas. I went to a high school that definitely had diversity, but we never really talked about it. And so coming here and coming to CSO, it's opened me up to what are the possibilities of how can I serve my community.
When I first came to U of H on campus, I looked on the street to see Catholic Center. I didn't know what was that. So I was curious and coming, and since that's my home here, it's not just like a center which I came, for spiritual, but I feel like it's my home to develop relationship with not only spiritual, but also like friends and all that. And I don't know, it's really helped me to make me feel less lonely in the U.S. Also helped me move close to God.
I think it's a fascinating time to be alive as a Spiritan. And I think part of the fascinating part is that we've really had to leap, as it were, into the water. And we realize, our whole composition of our congregation is changing. Our numbers are varied, and they're far different from what they were when I entered the community in 1972, which is, 42 years ago. And I think it's just been a great liberating moment. The old verities have been challenged, and there's just a new sense of learning how to really collaborate with laity and with the people that value what we're doing and always have value but never have figured out a way to get in there. And so it doesn't mean they have to join us as associates or whatever else, but they, where people can be grounded in mission, and that we, there's just to support projects, not only financially, but by going there, or by letting the news be known throughout, different parts of, Texas or California or, Pennsylvania.
To live amongst the people as a missionary means allowing ourselves to be educated by them, while at the same time giving witness to gospel values. Countries, races, languages, and cultures are all an expression of the richness and diversity of the human race. Our Spiritan rule of life reminds us that we are set apart to respond creatively to the needs of evangelization for our time, living with those peoples, groups, and individuals who have not yet or scarcely heard the message of the gospel. Openness to others, ability to listen, welcoming of all that is good in every human heart, rising above all discrimination, are all obligations flowing from Spiritan missionary dedication.